There have been a lot of Windows 8 convertibles of late. Acer's made one, HP's made one, Samsung made one initially. Now it's the turn for Lenovo. This is the Lenovo IdeaTab Lynx. Now, the very first thing you notice about this particular tablet with the keyboard dock is this one's Windows 8.1. It came with Windows 8 out of the box. We updated to Windows 8.1. Now, there are two elements to this particular product. One is your proper tablet, 11.6-inch display, and your traditional tablet look. The second big element is the keyboard. This in itself is very, very familiar, very, very reminiscent of how the recent Yoga and some of the IdeaPad laptops keyboards have been. But one thing to really like about this is how solidly and safely your tablet will dock into this keyboard. Let me just show you how before we come back to the particular tablet. This is how it's now in the dock mode. The touchpad works and you're good to go. Good things about this particular dock is it's got an additional battery. So once you run out of battery on the tablet, you have a similar size battery in this. Lenovo claims this gives about 8 hours of battery life, and Lenovo claims this gives about 8 hours of battery life. We've managed to get about 6.5, 7 hours in our extremely intensive tests for battery life. There are two USB ports on this side apart from that, and well, this is particularly very, very crucial for somebody who needs to type out a lot of stuff when on the move. Now, not everyone may have a laptop to carry around all the time, but this particular keyboard is good enough for the occasional email typing or a quick document, or just generally when you're using one of the social networks. Apart from that, there are niggles with this particular keyboard, pretty much the same as what we had pointed out when we were reviewing the IdeaPad Yoga, for example. The slightly curved base on every key just makes it very difficult for the fingers to kind of understand the positioning for individual keys. Now, unless you're looking down, and till the time your fingers get used to this, and it's a steep curve, steep learning curve by the way, you will end up with a slightly hampered typing experience. It's going to be slower, there are going to be a lot more errors in your text, and it's just a sense of frustration till you actually get to understand this keyboard a lot better. Maybe Lenovo could look at something like flatter keys, straighter keys, pretty much like what HP is doing, pretty much what like Apple has been doing all along, and even Asus has started doing recently. Coming back to the tablet Lynx in general, it looks fairly conventional up front. There's your Windows hardware key here, clean around the display apart from the Lenovo logo. You've got your volume rocker and the orientation lock unlock key on this side. You've got the power key on the top spine along with your expandable memory card slot. That sits under this hinge. This hinge is useful because it protects the slot from elements like moisture, but not very nicely made. You've got your mini HDMI out and 3.5mm jack here, and you've got the micro USB port on the base for charging when you're not using the dock. On the back you have this slight imprint design on what is essentially a plastic finish with the soft feel. Now again, this looks extremely nice, it looks extremely cultured and sophisticated, but the build quality is not top notch. You press down on the middle of this panel and this thing dips, or when you double tap on this, tap like this, there's a distinctly hollow plasticky feel to it. For a tablet that is costing almost 40,000 bucks, this is still not acceptable because you have much better Android alternatives out there which feel a lot better. In terms of performance, this runs a Clover Trail based Intel Atom processor, dual core, but the performance is not going to be extremely quick. So if you're thinking that you're going to use this machine for gaming or for very processor intensive tasks, this won't work. This is meant for your basic computing tasks, web browsing, document editing, a bit of movies, pretty much that's it, and don't expect this to multitask too much. The very good thing about this particular tablet, the IdeaPad Lynx, is the battery life. Lenovo claims about 8 hours of battery life. We managed to get about 6.5 to 7 hours in our fairly processor intensive tests, and all that at 100% brightness. So if you're using this particular device with about 50% brightness, let's say, and you're using it for web browsing or for writing an email or for typing out a document, this should last you almost an entire day at work. So in terms of that, it's a tablet with extremely good battery life that gets extended with the battery life on this particular dock. The only thing is the build quality is not top notch. The performance is fairly basic, but the kind of flexibility that you get with these two, the flexibility of using it as a tablet, moving around with it, or docking it to this, using it as a sort of an ultrabook or a laptop, is just something that, I mean, will appeal to a lot of people. The 11.6-inch display is 1366 768 pixels. We expected something of a higher res, let's say a 1080p display, bringing it closer to the Android alternatives, but at least not in this version. But the IPS panel basically means colors look brilliant, the text is extremely crisp, and if you look at it directly in comparison with an AMOLED tablet in the same price bracket, yes, the colors do not pop out as much, which some people prefer, but the accuracy is unmatchable. The IdeaPad Lynx, in my opinion, is meant for somebody who wants the best of both worlds. Well, obviously there will be compromises, so it's technically not the best of both worlds, but it's a flexible option. You get to do a lot more.